live, and I just clicked the button.
Okay, that's
And so
good.
now, effectively, we've been live for the last 30 seconds.
Okay, yep, there we go. Oh wait,
Okay,
mute.
hello everyone. Welcome to the
Hello.
Alchemy Bench. We're doing a woke today.
Awoke. That's what we're doing. I thought I was here for like a dance. I was here for ice
No,
cream social. You lied to me. You lied to
no.
me.
You have negative rhythm. You're not allowed to dance.
You can dance if you want to.
And leave your friends behind.
Yeah,
Because
you
if your
do have
friends,
to do that.
because if your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, then they're no friends of mine. I know 7 minutes late. Yeah, we'll talk about like professionalism. I pay for.
No. We'll never be professional. We
I'm
are
sorry.
anarchists. Anarchists don't do professional. Professionalism implies hierarchy that can judge you on your
But
professionalism.
haven't you heard of the professional anarchists? I mean, I'm
Yes,
sure we've discussed this before.
I never knew that professional anarchy was a thing. I was just like an anarchist.
Now, anarchism is the we're all amateurs here, always, forever, dedicated to amateurism.
Mm.
Just doing it for the love of it. Which,
Actually,
Yes,
I'm in
exactly.
it for the babes, but you know.
well, that's for the love of something.
I'm
Um,
I'm I'm in it to like just to like tell people about like charitylinks.page and like also to like help out my friends like Joanna and Phoenix more specifically, but like others who would like need help is like and as dudes like Atropop as well. It's because like remember people, capitalism is terrible. It's exploitative. I'm not going to accept a modified capitalism. I'm not going to accept like a softer capitalism. No, capitalism inherently is exploitative, and we got to get rid of it. It's also inherently ableist, and it also ties in with white supremacy, cis-hetero patriarchy, imperialism, instead of colonialism. So if you want to fight against like all those other social justice issues, you got to also fight against like capitalism as well. So let's not forget that. But we can't just fight against capitalism as well.
I'm
okay.
sorry, could you repeat that? I wasn't paying attention.
It's my usual rant that I go on whenever I talk
I
about
think
this sort
I
of thing.
think we should go back to feudalism. That was a good thing.
You mean anarcho-capitalism?
Yes, let's go back to having
um,
kings and lords.
I mean, feudalism wasn't really capitalism, whatever you say, because they didn't. If it had been capitalism, they would have somehow evolved their economics in some way. But
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did. They evolved it into market capitalism and enclosures and shit.
Yep, the
yeah,
enclosure
but
act
that
was a
was
big
after
thing.
they had the a great plague that sort of
Hmm.
drove
That
prices up and
increased the
stuff.
price of labor
Hmm.
and
You had to
gave
find
more
other
power to
ways of
workers.
other ways of exploiting labor. So
Mm. Really,
didn't
I
work.
think a big part of the
People ran
transition,
away.
yep, a big part of the transition from feudalism to capitalism was the elimination of traditional views on rights from communal things where you had your rights as a member of a community to having rights just as an individual completely separate from any sort of community.
Ah, the lovely idea of the social contract. I love that idea. It's so
Hmm.
good.
Oh yeah, that's something that like Aaron Rabinowitz like was always commenting on it. He's just uncomfortable with the idea of no one having like a agreed upon, written down, expressly a conceived social contract, as it were. And it's just like, well, but even the IWW has its own constitution as well, but like all of its members can like vote and make amendments on it, as it were. So I don't know. Yeah, but I kind of realized it was not too long ago that like, wait, isn't the idea of a social contract just a way for like us to be able to like to say, hey, you agree to this by being born in under a system of capitalism, so you got to pull your own weight, basically.
Well, the liberals were performing, I think, a form of liberation. Um, the idea was that under the old system, you were born into a set of rules that you didn't really have any control over, and you weren't allowed to move from one community to another, not really. But under liberalism, the idea was that there would be some social mobility, as
Mm-hmm.
eugenics proved itself to be true, and the better people rose to the top. Um,
and stay there forever, as well.
yeah, I mean, I think they did view it as a form of liberation. Introducing the possibility of social mobility.
So, I mean, the social contract idea, it's of its time. It's from the late 1500s, 1600s, and I mean that was the time of absolute monarchy and the kings trying to make subjects of all of their all of the inhabitants of not just their own countries, but others as well. So in that sense, and in that context, it makes sense. But saying the same after like 300 years of social development and in a modern democratic society that's just saying things are what they are because some people just are better than others. Mm-hmm. It's an anti-democratic idea these days, I would say.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, the liberals weren't really in favor of democracy.
No, they weren't.
The whole tyranny of the majority thing was we're worried poor people will vote.
Yeah, and people and when I advocate for direct democracy from conservatives and liberals, well, that's because conservatives are liberals. They're just like the more conservative, like the liberals as well.
Well, no, liberals are conservatives. Conservatives are fascists.
Yeah, right. Well, definitely here in in the U.S., but in Australia, liberals are conservatives because Liberal Party is a conservative party as well. Yep. Oh, but do you have the patron list up for us?
I do. I was just waiting for a place to put it in, and you, I guess, decided that segues are for losers.
Why have segues?
They look ridiculous anyway. So
segues do look ridiculous. So thank our patrons.
I've seen Paul Blart Mall Cop. I actually haven't seen Paul Blart Mall Cop, but I know he rides a Segway. Mm-hmm. All right, so
clips of it.
Yes, I don't think I've even seen that much of it. I think I might have seen a preview. All right, so first up we have Lito, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
And Marti. Hi, Marty.
Thank you, Marty.
And today's Marty's patron hangout, I think. And yesterday, apparently, Vosh Stans did something to her stream.
No. Her patron hangout was last week Sunday because she usually has it on the third Saturday of the month. No, second Saturday. No, third Saturday of the month. She usually does that Saturdays, but she was working on the third Saturday of the month, so she pushed the patron hangout to that Sunday last week. So, but no, yesterday we'll talk about it later after we thank further patrons.
All right. Next up, we have Mylan.
Thank you, Mylan.
And Ellie.
Thank you, Ellie.
And Yo.
Thank you, Yo, who is complaining about our professionalism that he paid for this.
Well, I want to point out he complained about our professionalism, not our professionalism.
Exactly.
And then a couple of fuckboys.
Yes. Thank you, Mehmet, who's also not here, but with us in spirit. Anyway.
And then Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
And Volrek.
Thank you, Volrek. Thank you all for making this possible. Oh, and yes, you are paying for this professionalism. So yes.
Okay.
So yes, Marty Abernathy, hello, who's in chat. He usually does a show on Wednesday and a show on Saturday. Yesterday's show, she was talking about because the discourse was happening online. Kink at Pride, and I say it belongs at Pride. And who came up with the kink on Pride? And hello, Tom has just joined us.
It's Tom.
How you doing? Go ahead. Hello.
You're here. We can hear you.
I have to shut off my. I'm listening to David now. Okay. Well, I heard you.
I'm sorry.
No. I was listening to the delayed thing on. I always forget to turn off the sound when I come on because I'm
a professional.
I'm an idiot. But you were talking about you're
professional idiot.
All right. Yeah. I can't disagree at all. But you're talking about the better people, and I thought I should come on as a representative of that demographic, the better people demographic.
And I'm going to go ahead and boot you.
Oh yeah, that happened. So, I'll cover that, Joe. To remind me, because so yesterday, Marty Abernathy was discussing kink at Pride, and why did that Discord came up? Well, it comes up every single year around Pride because Pride Month is
because the straights only ever think of the queers as sex and evil and bad for children.
Yes, that breaks out the whole argument that like Vosh was perpetuating on a video of his, and so Marty Abernathy was watching that video on stream, and so when that happened, and YouTube took down the stream as well. But Marty streams also to Twitter, to Facebook, and to Twitch, and Mixer when it was around, but it's not around anymore. And so the stream was slowly going on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
It's also on VHS and
Laserdisc.
Yeah, Laserdisc. Yeah, of course.
I got it on an 8-track.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those people that I will be later on, but not now yet.
That's a good point, Marty. For Tom, kink at Pride involves spray cheese.
That's not kink. That's mainstream. You people are weird.
When you spray something, it streams. So yes.
And since we're talking about kink, I had to show pictures of the kinkajou, which I think is
these days, that's my main kink. Is my main spray kink.
I was just going to say sorry to Marty because I think I was responsible for the YouTube thing going down because I was so disgusted with that Wash fellows that I think I mentally petitioned YouTube to take the stream down just to make it stop because I thought how can anyone stand listening to this for any length of time? So I'm sorry, Marty. It's my fault.
Well, okay, we can use that's fine. We'll blame David for this one. Yeah,
only for this one. I would think we can blame David for all of it.
Well, he does have like a murder house he's living in now, Bryce.
I'm not living there, but
he owns it.
I only do the murders there.
So that's our best guess is like why Marty's YouTube video is taken down. It's still up on the Tea Party Facebook page. So if you go to the Tea Party, and that's just like the letter T, not the TEA party, the Facebook page, you can still see the video and watch the whole stream as it is. Because there was a lot of good information in it too, because the discussion of like kink at Pride and like how the leather community was like really good at like protecting the LGBTQIA plus community as well, which makes it, I say, essential for like it be like kink at Pride. And Metro, the Bosch and others are just making the whole "won't someone please think of the children" kind of like arguments that kink at Pride. And he, in the same video, Bosch admitted that he just gives a whole bunch of blowjobs, as it were, and other things. And he does that. He prouds himself on the number of blowjobs he gives, but yet it's discussed at kink at Pride.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, I don't believe him.
I don't care, but that's the spray cheese kink that.
I don't know, if you're spraying cheese, you might should see a doctor.
I will not see the doctor. I know it's wrong. I live in Wisconsin. I know it's wrong.
Okay. It's kind of funny, but like maybe why YouTube took it down, but yet Twitch and Twitter and Facebook was totally fine. Marty and I mentioned how we saw a person shitting in public on the sidewalk.
Well, that's just Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
hey,
you shouldn't shit on the public in the sidewalk.
That's what the politicians do, and the media.
Well, not on the sidewalk.
Not on the sidewalk, on TV.
On Main Street.
When your dog takes you for a walk, is that what happens?
Well, kink puppies are quite cute, so I think like the dog wants to take you out for a walk too, and they're totally allowed to do so at Pride. I say. But that was part of the argument that Vosh was trying to make of like, you can go topless in New York City, as it were, and then we mentioned the examples like, yeah, people who do that, and it's just like, do people think that's like fine? That's like in general, no, the shitting in public sort of thing. Going around topless, as it were, or naked. I wouldn't have that time. Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it. There may be laws and that, but it's just like, but somehow Vosh thinks it's still a problem of like kink at Pride. It's like, I forgot his arguments. Guess he doesn't make coherent arguments, honestly.
It's a bunch of straw man stuff. Nothing. I mean, it's like, yeah, I see someone in a sort of leather thong or something, and all of a sudden everything is about sex.
Yes,
I wonder if it has the same reaction when it sees a naked child, because then it's incredible, really. It's just the conservative, the ultra conservative fright of anything to do with the body outside the closed doors of whatever they are up to when people aren't watching them, because they tend to get kinky themselves. It seems.
The safety word is bananas, and so long as everyone do so with consent.
That's what you use for measurement as well.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Bananas.
A regular banana makes every conservative man feel very inadequate.
Yes, exactly.
Peel slowly and see.
Yes, it's watching someone just eat a bit slowly. Yes. And that, oh my god, yeah. So Vosh did say that like leather is inherently sexual. So if someone just wears leather pants, they're inherently sexual.
Have they ever been to like a leatherworks factory? The smell.
Have they ever been to a boot store?
It's like it's made with like the most foul smelling, well, literally shit or urine or bark or whatever they use to make leather. So it's not well, if that's your thing, then right, okay, but it's not my thing.
Yep, Tavi Wolf, hello, in the chat saying that Vosh actually made the argument that banning kink from Pride would make Pride more accessible. The disabled Wolfus is still salty about that. Yeah. And meanwhile, exactly the point, He-Man exists, and that's and this is a point that mutual friend, Tavi and I's mutual friend Lynn Wu, who's not on Twitter, I made. Those people who are pearl clutching at like kink at Pride and look at their outfits and all this, what they're wearing, the leather thing is like that. Did they check Tom, did you took your child to see like Return of the Jedi in 1983 with the metal skin, the metal bikini that like Leia had to wear as a Save Leia outfit?
You mean the rebellious whore who choked her boss? He was providing lots of people with employment, okay? He was a noble benefactor who was bringing jobs to a depressed community in the backwater of Tatooine. People would not have jobs were it not for Jabba, and the terrorists blew up his sail barge and killed who knows how many hardworking slaves. Ugh. God.
Yeah, I would never take my kid to anything like that violent and sexual, and no, that would be a mistake on my part, because I'm one of the bad guys.
Yeah, apparently boots are not like sexual, but the full leather is sexual, and boot licking is just, I guess, normal for some people. Leather.
It's a bit like licking the toilet seat. It's something some people think is normal. I don't. I tend not to do it.
I came in too early. Speak amongst yourselves. You're putting these images in my head, and I'm not entirely happy with it.
Well, you could have you don't have to attach the seat to the toilet. You can have it separate and lick it if you want.
You could wear it as a necklace and have it always available for licking.
Yep.
And Tavi, you're right.
And this is better.
Today's life hack. I think
Tavi, there are two of that Master of the Universe He-Man figures that you put in the live chat at the Federal Way Target and there where I live, and yet that's suitable for a child of 3. And it's a loincloth, it's fur, not leather. That's the difference.
The same people complaining that kink shouldn't be at Pride because it's not suitable for children are also the ones who are complaining that they reduced She-Ra's tits.
Yes.
And yet that show was actually made for children.
Yes, to sell toys. Mm-hmm.
The children usually like big boobs. They contain a lot of milk.
Well,
I think we broke down.
No. It's just that I know a number of small-breasted women that have very successfully nursed their kids. So David is fucked. It's not like we didn't know that, but I'm just representing the itty bitty titty committee here.
You're an ally of the itty bitty titty. You get it.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You don't know. You don't know. I might be representing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like at Taffy, it's like apparently adorable bears wearing the same outfit at Pride as He-Man is like, oh, think of the children. So the Taffy, they need to just like take a sword and do cosplay, have the blonde hair wig and cosplay as He-Man, and then it's allowed.
And he can master the universe, yeah.
Yes.
You have Skeletor in your closet as well, so you know where he is.
I have a question. Has Vash actually set out the rule book for Pride, so that we know what the deal is? I mean, that everybody can be on board with the right way to act.
I don't know if
I don't think he's published the official set of rules. No.
Well, then how can he bitch?
Exactly. We discussed that as well. We don't know if Bosch has ever done actually any local organizing. He lives in Seattle, unfortunately, where I live near, and so I don't know if he does any work with like Seattle Pride or the LGBTQIA plus community in Seattle. But then again, as Jamie pointed out in like yesterday's stream, he finds that kind of like activism, as it were, actually community organizing, supporting the community, doing that other thing as LARPing.
So doing anything is okay. I use excuses to not do things too, to not be involved and be a positive influence on the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what he does yelling on like YouTube on Twitch. I think he's back on Twitch, even though he's banned at one point, which I think he should be banned on Twitch, honestly, because that's how he directs harassment against people. Go ahead, Tom.
I don't know. I know what he looks like because he comes up on actual, news feeds once in a while. Every once in a while, he is actually on. I don't know. I don't know if it's Young Turks or what.
That makes sense.
I don't think it's. I'm not saying Young Turks. I'm saying those are the kinds of sort of left leanings or left sites that are. Mm-hmm. That sometimes will have him on. And I don't think it was Young Turks, but it was, one of that in that modality.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what he looks like. I have no idea what he sounds like. I've never listened to him. All I know is what people
good for
tell
you,
me.
Tom.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder if I ought to listen. Just
absolutely not.
Well, I hate watch, like Kent Hovind and Ken Ham. And people like that, I find it stimulating, I guess, to be that irritated at people. But I don't know. Apparently, some people think that he makes some sense. I don't know if there's things that you find that he is useful for or says good things about.
Oh, I've seen him say nasty things about like trans people, and that's
no. I understand that. I'm getting that. I'm totally on board with the fuck Bosch, or don't.
Forget Bosch.
Okay, there we go. got to be so careful with what I say because you people will pick up on the nuances, and I don't want you to until I want you to. But anyway, I'm just wondering where he stands. Is he a tanky? Is he generally?
I have no idea. I've never gone anywhere near Vosh.
I no, me neither before last night, and that's why I said I probably broke Marty's stream because I got so I thought, why does anyone listen to this idiot? Basically, because and then I read some things about him, and he apparently calls himself an anarcho-syndicalist, and I didn't see any of that in anything he said last night. So whenever he said it, but I heard it last night.
Okay, Tabby Wolf says that he did a stream titled something like Playing Bloodborne and debating the Jewish question.
Yep.
And then surprised that people thought he was anti-Semitic. To say the words Jewish question, even me saying that.
What's the debate?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't know what
are Jews people? Do they actually, or are they people? If they are people, are they people who drink the blood of Christian children?
The only people really debating, in quotes, the so-called Jewish question were the Nazis, because they invented this whole thing.
Yeah, so exactly. I think to talk about the Jewish question as anything other than boy, that's fucked is
that's right, Tab. Go ahead. Yeah, you can finish your point, Tom. Oh, okay.
Biden.
Yes, no, Vosh. Seriously, yes. I heard he's called himself a narco-syndicalist, but according to Jamie, he also says that he's for militarized borders. And so when I told that to Leto last time, her initial reaction to that is laughter, because that's the appropriate reaction to hearing someone who calls himself a narco-syndicalist is for militarized borders. Laughter. But yeah, the type is right. Vosh called himself a narco-Bidenist because he came up with anarcho-Bidenism is basically the radical leftist position of reasons I'm voting for Biden, which is like, no, many radical leftists have made positions and said how important it is to like vote. Hell, Alan Moore said how important it was to vote for Labor in 2019 general election, and he's an anarchist too. So that's the thing. But how Vosh went around to it of voting for Biden, he misquoted Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and several YouTubers and other Marxists pointed out it's like you're just wrong. No, you're just wrong. You're misreading Karl Marx. That's which is not the first time. There's several people who misread.
Marx never said vote for Biden. I'm pretty sure about that.
No, actually, he did. It was in chapter 2 of Das Kapital.
No,
it was really out of place. People have wondered about it for a very long time. So a lot of editions just remove it, but it was originally in there.
Nostra Marxist.
Yeah. Well, the way some people sort of sees Marx as some kind of prophet, that's
yeah, right. I did a fair amount of anthropology, archaeology study, and a lot of Marxist stuff is really good for analyzing history and anthropology. It's not necessarily great for
I mean, as a, I don't know if you call it this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry, Tom.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he basically is the father of sociology, economic history, and so forth, because no one had studied that kind of thing in that way before him.
Yeah.
But it's when he takes it to the politics realm where you have to be careful, because he didn't know anything more than anyone else, and some of his theories are just plain wrong. So
your mom is wrong. Don't insult Daddy Marx.
I mean, and he also was sort of he didn't get along with people. Did Karl Marx? I mean, the thing about socialists always splitting into smaller and smaller groups, disagreeing on some kind of basic dogma. That started already even before Marx, but he sort of made it even worse, he and Engels, because they sort of said, anyone who doesn't agree with us 100%, you're out.
Exactly. When I was reading on my stream, Twitch stream, Marx and Anarchism by Rudolf Rocker. Rudolf Rocker did the research and found out that Marx actually became a socialist because the anarchist Joseph Proudhon. But then later in his life, Karl Marx just shames on pure Joseph Proudhon. It just shuns in. It's all, and as I described in the stream, it's almost like Marx is going back to all of his old tweets and like scrubbing all the tweets he liked of pure Joseph Proudhon if it happened today, as it were. But in that essay, Rudolf Rocker did mention how the first international ends, which was the split between anarchists and like some people with statist tendencies. Engels and Karl Marx did kind of like a shady backroom deal to get like others to be forced to like maybe vote and go with them on their positions. I forgot exactly what the position was, supporting like states and stuff like that. All the anarchists like, that's not how we do fucking democracy. No, you're doing that and forcing us to vote with you, or else the international gets suspended. Fuck you. And if I remember correctly, that's how the first international disbanded. So yeah, Karl Marx was kind of like bitter of a lot of things. Exactly. One other thing about like debates and stuff like that. Tavi mentioned that like Bosch pretty much just admitted is like, hey, what do you think? I'll debate in favor of Jewish question, which pretty much confirming that he wanted to just bring on something far right to debate these sort of thing. And Robert Evans actually took debate class. Robert Evans hosted Behind the Bastards and Behind the Police and a lot of other great podcasts, and the anarchist himself. He went to debate class and he learned frequently that like actual coherent and thoughtful like arguments don't really run debates. It's always a quick snappy slow things, and you kind of
debates aren't about convincing the other guy. They're not actually about convincing people. They're just about emotional appeals.
Exactly.
Theater.
In theater, that's what Robert Evans learned when he tried to actually like either argue against or defend like his formerly conservative positions. That's where there's not a lot to defend conservative positions with facts and logics or anything like that. So you do the Ben Shapiro sort of thing in debates, and so that's exactly what like Vosh and other debate bros kind of things like do. Destiny is also classically does this a lot, and forget Destiny. Oh, I hate that guy because it for him is all about like winning the debate and winning, and winning the stream and winning as a word, instead of like actually find out the truth, that sort of thing. So next point, as Joe and Jordan P has mentioned, and this one I was actually kind of watching live. Just a Gender, the YouTuber, does a weekly stream where she just gets a little drunk, just like 1 or 2 beers and stuff like that, and plays the games on YouTube. She sometimes do the weeknights on Twitch as well, but on YouTube it's her weekly weeknight stream. Last night she got attacked by bots and trolls, and so I wasn't there for the first bot attack. I kind of was like made aware of it because I'm in her Patreon Discord server, and someone attacked the moderators, and I moderate for Discord server as I moderated for her YouTube channel too. And I was like, oh, that's happened. So the first one was like fine, but the second it happened again. But it was just like a bunch of bots all with the same names and always wins then the number, and then saying something like you will never pass, or haha beautiful by the way you never pass, and all this sort of thing. So Just Gender did put up a quick video kind of like addressing that, and this is something that I've had experience, Tavi has experience of, like our streamer friend Lin Wu, who I mentioned earlier, also experienced it. They do a lot of those things, but what's happening is that like people were blaming this one Twitch streamer or this other Twitch streamer. Is like a raid from like whoever, it doesn't matter actually, a raid from whoever, and it's like so they try to get the other people in the chat to blame that other Twitch streamer when people find out like actually that Twitch streamer wasn't streaming at that time. Neither of them were. So Jesse also addressed that in the stream as well, because that's a classic. Tavi and I can like confirm is like, no, that's what trolls have been doing. They try to incite infighting by mentions like, do you know what happened between this person and this person? I'm like, why does that have to do with me? In the trolls attacks at me and I suffered, they were also using they were creating other accounts impersonating other people. There was Lin Wu had like Lin Wu _ So it's just like her name, but with a second underscore at the end as a viewer of her Twitch channel or something like that. And so this is, and Tavia said like before, it's probably happens around every time around Pride, near Pride. There are people who are going to attack any like visually trans, visually gay, visually lesbian, and kind of like people, as it were. And so Jesse's kind of like, listen, and just ban the bots, don't pay them too much time, ban the trolls, and don't pay them too much time, and we can win this, and just like not let us bother us as much. But it does like happen. So content creators out there, speak with your mods as well. There were the racist attacks and rape threats as well that happened.
Good lord,
That's interesting. But yeah,
People are so nice.
This
Hey,
is why
David.
we can't have nice people.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the debate stuff, I think it's sort of, I mean, it's a typically liberal idea in its sort of, because it's sort of preposition. The basic point is that every idea has merit. When some ideas clearly does not have merit, I mean, go back to the Jewish question debate.
Yeah.
It's not a debate. There is
No.
no Jewish question. Just, I mean, anyone who sort of even engages in that kind of debate has lost it before they've even begun, because they've recognized that this is sort of a valid position to take.
Yeah.
Mm.
There
Because
is a
the classic-
Nazi question.
Yeah, because a classic debate is not supposed really to have a winner. It's supposed to be something that where you discuss a subject and you put it to you look at it from different perspectives. But that the premise for that is that you are discussing something that's valid. That I mean, that we come back to the atheist Christian debates. They are not debates either, because they don't recognize a common. I mean, the starting position isn't common for them, so they're not debating; they're just arguing, basically. And a lot of online so-called debating is just arguing over stuff that, I mean, if you look at it in a factual way, you see that at least one of the positions are usually not even something based in facts. It's just something based in an opinion that doesn't have any kind of grounding in anything. It's just taken from the air, basically. It might as well be religion, because it's usually made up.
Tavi makes other good points in the chat there. Yeah, there's always a thing on 4chan. They call it Operation Pride Fall, and the queer people deal with it every year around Pride. And I think it's like the 4chan does a lot of nasty things. I honestly think that's where it's like the kink of Pride discourse also came from. Where I can imagine some 4chan trolls just wanting to spark up that debate to like create division as well. And Tavi has some other good points. Nice people can't be trusted. Lovely people are okay though. The difference is someone who knows when it's time to stop being gentle and kind and switch to throwing hands is a lovely person. A nice person is just nice but won't back you up if you're under threat. A lovely person gives you kindness when you need it and helps help you mix it up with some asshole when you need it as well.
Somebody once, I can't remember if I saw it on Twitter or Facebook or where, but somebody said that they once described the West Coast as nice but not kind, and the East Coast as kind but not nice, and how that always pissed off people from California. But it's like, yeah, because on the East Coast, they'll pull over, they'll help you change your tire, and they'll cuss you out the whole time, call you a dumbass. But I think that's very much a New England thing. Because the South is very, 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 very into being nice, but they would not. They're not particularly kind. Well, they're kind to white people.
Well, yeah.
And Tommy, you're about to say something?
He knows all about that Minnesota nice.
I have no idea about Minnesota nice. I don't particularly give a fuck about Minnesota nice. Minnesota sucks. Minnesota's evil, and they make casserole that we've discussed already that they're wrong about.
You mean hot dish?
No, that's Wisconsin. We make hot dish and we make it right, and we're not going to tell you how we fucking do it because we're going to let you believe what Google tells you it is, and then we'll keep it for ourselves because we are nice but not kind.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're actually, yeah, Minnesota and Wisconsin, Midwest nice is. We try to be nice and we try to be kind, and we typically fail in one or the other of those, and it's not as easy as dividing between the East Coast and the West Coast.
Yeah.
We sometimes fall on one side and sometimes on the other. I, for instance, will help you change your tire, speak nicely to you, and then cuss you out in my car as I'm driving away.
But you won't slice the tires before they meet.
Well, I might have sliced the tires to start with to get them to need to be changed, but that's the to your face nice thing,
Mm-hmm.
We're delving into territory that I probably shouldn't speak of on a recorded medium.
That's right.
Giving away state secrets.
No.
Yeah. We're law enforcement lay can all lay enforcement lay can hear about later.
I mean, the Starfleet Regulation 46A, no uncoded messages over open channels. That's the word. The indigenous heritage Joey in chat that says like, yeah, but all over the Midwest too. They're nice to white people. Civility often masks the worst barbarism.
Yeah, I remember a speech by Tim White about that, how he was doing anti-racism lecture thing in somewhere in the upper Midwest, and
Minnesota.
Yeah. And, talking about, oh, no, we're very, very nice here. And he asked a black person, how do you feel about the Minnesota nice thing? And the black person said, Minnesota nice is killing us.
Right.
Because they think that being nice is the same thing as being kind. If you're polite, it means that you're not deeply, deeply racist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. We grew up ingrained in
don't start. No, we don't want to make don't.
When I was a kid, I don't know if it's still this way anymore, but we used the N-word for a lot of stuff. Brazil nuts, for instance, were N-word toes. And it was, everybody said it, it was no big deal because we didn't know any black people and we didn't, it didn't occur to us that would be harmful. We were idiots, and a lot of people, I'm sure, knew better and let us continue to say those things without challenging us, which pisses me off now thinking about it. Because my immediate preceding generation were World War II and Korean War folks, and they had spent a lot of time with people of other races and religions and stuff, and they knew better than what they were doing when they got home. But they got home and doubled down on the racism.
They should have known better.
Well, they should have known better, right? But they let their prejudices continue, and in many cases deepen.
Joe in the chat, who's also from Wisconsin, cheap repairs were N-word rigging. That's or.
Oh yeah, and there's an N-word in the wood pile if there's something wrong, something shady.
The whole lot, yeah.
Whole lot.
No, we don't need to go down the list of all the different ways that white people are horrible. That we'd be here all day.
Yeah, actually, both of these things that Joe and that I mentioned are things that actual elected officials in Wisconsin have said in public meetings in the last 10 years, last 5 years. So this is not ancient history. This is current stuff.
I remember a British politician recently did the woodpile thing sometime in the last few years. Got so upset. It's like, I don't see how that's racist.
Woodpile, there's Irish in a woodpile.
No, I think it was a black person.
Oh, okay. Well, just in Britain, the Irish get a lot of that same
Yeah,
kind of stuff too.
The Tea Party, who is Marty Abernathy. Hi, Marty. I laugh. Indiana has a tourism campaign, Hoser Hospitality. Hoosier. I knew I was going to mispronounce that.
Hoser is a Canadian insult.
Oh, okay.
Hoosier is a racist from the Midwest.
Yeah, because like the last time Marty was in Indiana visiting family members, and she actually did a Facebook stream of this at a place where it has the best Reuben, a $13 Reuben. It's the best Reuben, but she overheard someone talking to a police officer who's talking about the blacks and men in dresses. That's Hoosier hospitality for you.
Yeah.
The British politician, by the way, was Anne-Marie Morris, MP for Newton Abbot, who said something, now we get to the schmershmer in the woodpile, and said, the comment was totally unintentional. I apologize unreservedly for any offense caused.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good apology.
It's always about that. You shouldn't. I mean, you shouldn't be
27
asked.
points.
You shouldn't be asked to think first. Speak later. It's
No,
always
especially not if you're a politician, not if you're a member of parliament. No, thinking is against the rules if you're in charge of stuff.
It's not polite. It's not tradition.
thinking. No, it's not tradition. That's why conservatives don't want to do it, because it's not tradition.
Well, if you think, then you can't be a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking is antithetical to conservatism. A real conservative or American conservative, either way.
Yeah, if I were Marty, if I were me, I'd move to Madison if I could too. Madison is lovely.
I don't know where I would move to if I were moved, because like I so far I haven't faced any much like problems in Seattle for how. Then again, I haven't like gone out in public in skirt or something like that. As Taffy mentions, skirt as well.
You should go on the Oregon Trail. I've heard it's lovely.
Oh yeah, I might get dysentery.
Well, yeah, you just have to be careful about your drinking water.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know anything about that back then. I think.
Yeah,
they were stupid people.
Yeah, they'd drink downstream from where
I wonder
cows were shitting.
I sort of wonder why that part of the country turned out the way it did.
What, in the Northwest?
Yeah,
Pacific
the white
Northwest.
it was settled by white supremacists.
Yeah.
They just they kind of like just move out to on the Oregon Trail to Oregon and Washington, Idaho, and so
They wanted to set up a white paradise.
They did, yeah, exactly. So and that's what makes Portland is such a microcosm of like the U.S. as it were, because like Portland is a major liberal city in the middle of
surrounded by Klansmen.
Yes, so many rural counties, like it anywhere outside of like Portland and Eugene and maybe Salem, the Salem state capital of Oregon, it's just red, just nothing but red, and so it's just full of white supremacy and poor, because like even some counties have finally in the last 10 years finally got their first traffic light. The county finally got its first traffic light in the last 10 years, and
because
so
they didn't want anything red in a
No, because they didn't want any of that government coming in and telling them what to do, because they give you the money. That's how they get the hooks in you.
Well, yeah, they did realize after a while that if we keep dying in car accidents, we won't be able to reproduce, and then we'll die out. So that's why they got the traffic lights.
Oregon exclusion. I type in Oregon exclusion laws, and it comes up with Oregon black exclusion laws. The web search got the one in Wikipedia where the Oregon black exclusion laws. I'll post the link into the live chat so people know what I'm talking about, as I'm just reading from the Wikipedia article going to cursory grunts, where it attempts to prevent blacks from setting up within the borders of the settlement of the eventual United States of Oregon. The United States state of Oregon. The first law such took effect in 1844. Remember, this is just before the Civil War, when the professional government of Oregon voted to exclude black settlers from Oregon borders. So yeah, that's what the history of this, right around the Civil War. And
Holy
so
shit.
yeah.
Manifest
I'm reading it
destiny,
on a
baby.
different site.
Manifest destiny.
Oh man, they outlawed slavery, but they allowed it for 3 years. And if they didn't move, if the slaveholders didn't move out of the out of that area in 3 years, the slaves are freed, but the freed slaves were not allowed to stay in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So
They were okay with slavery in principle. They just didn't want the black people near them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were okay. They were not okay with slavery in principle, but they were more not okay with black people. It appears. Well,
I mean, they were fine with slavery. They just didn't want the slave owners there because the slave owners would bring the black people. That's all.
Well, they had to be against slavery to come into the Union because they were that was part of the
After the Civil War.
the Northwest Territory.
Oh, right.
It was before the
Northwest
yeah.
Ordinance, Northwest Ordinance.
The Missouri Compromise. Yeah.
No, the Northwest Ordinance had said that, as I understand it anyway, the Northwest Ordinance provided no slavery in the territory of the Northwest Ordinance, which is like the what was that, the Jefferson Folly?
The Louisiana Purchase. Yeah.
There we go.
You
that
might be thinking of Seward's Folly when he bought Alaska.
No. Well,
I mean,
right.
they yeah. But yeah, the Missouri Compromise
was,
said nothing north of Missouri's southern border could be a slave state.
And that was later,
was,
but the Northwest Ordinance, I think, also prohibited slavery in that, in most of that area or all that area. I don't know. I'm going by what I'm reading here. I'm only a history minor. I don't remember. I don't remember jack shit.
The Northwest Ordinances, they are from. I mean, they are pre-Constitution, aren't they?
Yeah, the Northwest Ordinance dealt with your area, Michigan and
Louisiana Purchase. Well, no.
Yeah. Northwest Ordinance dealt with the Northwest Territory, the old Northwest. The Ohio.
Okay.
Michigan.
That's okay. That's right. That was Wisconsin. It turned out to be Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan.
But
Iowa.
the Northwest Ordinance did forbid slavery in those states.
And I think it was extended to the Louisiana Purchase area. I don't know. Anyway, point being that for whatever reason they weren't allowed to have slavery, but Oregon folks said, okay, we'll do it for a few years, but then just to give a buffer for these slave owners so that they don't have to go cold turkey with these with this labor situation.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I pretend to know things because I read it. I read it for 30 seconds, and Jonathan read it for the same amount and got a much better idea than I did.
Well, yeah, when I tried to DuckDuckGo search the Northwest Ordinance, it came up with the Northwest Ordinance at 1787. I think that's referring to Ohio, and that's kind of and in Wisconsin,
right.
That kind of area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm learning as well. I'm just looking things up. It's oh, is this true? So let's learn together, as it were.
That was the old what was called the Confederation Articles of Confederation. Was the thing that they didn't want to keep, and therefore created the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And the Northwest Ordinance, the first one at least, was a part of what the Continental Congress did.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm.
This is good. I'm not even American. I'm teaching you new things.
Well, yeah, but you're a teacher and I'm old. No, I'm not old. I'm not old. I'm oh, Jesus Christ. Now I'm going to have to fuck you guys or tell you guys to fuck off. Well, going back to the beginning of the show, maybe I do have to fuck you guys now. Being the pride thing and everything.
I'm not wearing leather.
I have to go. Excuse me. Before we do that, I have to go to the store and buy some string cheese, some spray cheese.
Exactly, because that's your king. Spray cheese as well.
Yeah, and some string cheese so I can make a
whip.
No, I was thinking more like a jock strap situation. String.
A thong. a
String cheese
song.
A
Yeah.
G-string cheese.
It's string
Yeah.
cheese.
I don't know.
So if I tell
You should
people to eat me, it would be a little less disgusting.
I mean,
All right, boy,
what's it
this
called?
is.
There's this thing from ancient Greece they used to do because they when they competed in their athletics, they were all butt naked,
Yeah.
and so to not get the package in the way, so to speak, they used to tie it up in a special, and this had a name. I can't remember it, but but try to Google it. You'll find it somehow. That's what you need. Something to keep your package where it should be when you're running around.
Well, and you do that with strings and string.
Yeah, they had
how
a
we
they
do.
put a
We do that.
it's
in
like a
Wisconsin.
little present. They tie it up in a press so that you can with a ribbon.
Joe's king is in his neck.
I sleep funny sometimes too.
Do we have some fishy fashy?
We do indeed. Hold on while I find it. Okay. So I went simple fishy fashy, just douchebags on Twitter.
How many?
The 3 douchebags in question
All right, good.
being Andy
Bring
and
out
Go.
your D20. You should have that one.
No, I don't want to have to divide by something like not quite 7.
So first
would
up, we have
rather
Andy and Go,
divide by
Lauren
2.
Chin, and Sargon of Akkad this week.
Oh, goody. Sargon.
So
talking about young people and sex. As we
Andy
were
and
earlier.
Go said that Antifa committed a federal crime. They crossed state lines to go from Portland to Oregon City to attack patriots during a patriot thing. There was some sort of event, and he
attacked the patriots that came from other states. You mean
Patriot potato.
they were doing patriotism, and Antifa
in
was
Idaho?
violent at them.
That would be Idaho.
Next
How do
up,
you
we
do
have Lauren
patriotism?
Chen, who I only know because of her association with Mythicist Milwaukee.
Lauren Chen is a Roman millennial.
Ah, okay.
She's on Blaze
okay.
TV.
And she is of the opinion that the event of January 6th was not, an attempted insurrection. And then Sargon of Akkad thinks Shoe on Head is a pedophile. So
We should have a debate.
Debate me, bro. Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ. These are all people that I thought I had put significantly in the rearview mirror, but now you're making me think about them, and I'm not happy about this, John. This is not.
Yeah, they still exist. Sorry.
Oh, fuck them.
So Andy and Go is accusing Antifa of attacking patriots across state lines, even because apparently all of Antifa is in Portland, as far as Andy and Go is concerned. Lauren Chen thinks that there was no insurrection on January 6th, and Sargon thinks Shoe on Head is a pedophile. So, David, which one do you think is the fake?
Well, I think all of them are true. But since you don't know what Mr. Sargon thinks, unless you're a mentalist, I think that's one is made up.
Okay. And Tom, go ahead and roll the dice. The die.
The Fertile Crescent guy.
Sargon.
Sargon of Akkad. The guy that has the mask that is actually not of the guy.
I love that we mentioned the Fertile Crescent. I love that. And I'm going to go with Andy and Go. It seems unlikely, but it's possible that that's not what he's complaining about at this time.
Well, he always thought that's just always.
I know that's always his thing, but it's like maybe it's not this tweet.
maybe John is just clever enough to figure that out.
Maybe it's something different this time.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be
All right, so you all agree that Lauren Chin is a complete dumbass who does not think that 1/6 was an erection, and she is that much of a douche canoe. Somebody said, turns out a new friend went on vacation with, doesn't believe there was an insurrection, so vacation over 4 days early, friendship over, mind blown. To which Lauren responded, "This is insanity. Sounds like your new friend dodged a bullet." Lauren Chin, firmly of the opinion that January 6th, not an insurrection. Maybe she thinks it was a hoax.
I mean, despite
maybe she thinks it was just a protest that got a little rambunctious.
I think it was a school outing, just a reform school outing that got out of hand a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Got rowdy.
It's probably something like that. But I think, I mean, if you have two so-called friends that have these kind of opposite opinions, they probably shouldn't be friends anyway. So it doesn't really matter if it's true or not.
Well, it depends on how hot the sex is. Going back to
okay, the word friend has developed since the 1960s. I know.
Well, there's benefits. And
friends with benefits, or benefriends, as they sometimes call it.
Yeah. It's the Netflix and chill thing.
Friends are okay. All right.
Friends you fuck. Friends you play with. All right. So David and Tom think that Sargon did not call Shuanhead a pedophile, and they're correct. Instead, he did a little meme thing. The whole Drake thing, shying away from one thing and being cool about the other. Shuanhead is too mean to pedophiles. Apparently, June is not okay with that. And then Shuanhead is okay with Vosh wanting to fuck children or something. He's not calling her a pedophile. He's just implying that she's okay with Vosh threatening to have sex with children.
The logic is strong in this one, I think.
Yes. I'm not too sure how he's making the connection with Shuanhead there, but he didn't call her a pedophile. He is deeply stupid in many ways, but that is not a thing he did. So David and Tom got this one right. Jonathan
he's probably thinking it, though, but you don't know if he's thinking it.
Because Andy and Go did say that Antifa, which only exists in Portland, traveled to Oregon City to vandalize a street where a patriotic event was scheduled. They dumped blood, feces, oil, animal organs, and other things all over. They posted wanted-style flyers around the area of people they said are Proud Boys.
Animal organs?
Animal organs.
They're the organs built of animal or whatever. It's like you line up a bunch of cats and you hit them in the right order and get
you do it. Yeah, I don't know about cats, but you get the right dogs, and oh man, it's
liver. They dumped liver.
That sounds like an Antifa thing. Very strong on the cruelty to animals thing.
Yes, Antifa is big on eating meat. No vegans there. I have. Andy and Go is another not very clever individual, I don't think.
Yeah,
exactly.
Throw in a little bit of onion, and I'm right there.
So now we know that Tom likes animal feces, oil, liver, and onion.
Mm-hmm. And string cheese. And string cheese is a G string.
Well, I wouldn't. Subsets of that. God, you added all of them in, and that's not what I meant. Jesus Christ.
So I'm gonna
onions and shit is what I was meaning. Animal shit and onions is just fry them up, and oh man.
So I'm going to expose people's just stay on the fast train as well. Going to expose people. To something else, but I'm going to put the link into the live chat for people to see it for themselves. But I'm going to read out the tweet from MTG Marjorie Terry Green saying, "I want people's reactions to this." Yes, the media
is deeply stupid. That's my reaction.
Oh, okay, but I want you to hear this. The media and Democrats and everyone feeding into it is allowing them to hide the truth, which is the disgusting anti-Semitism within the Democratic Party.
Because they don't unabashedly support the apartheid state of Israel?
No.
Right.
So because I'm gonna put in the second tweet into
At a time when the Socialist Democrats and the Jihad Squad are supporting terrorist Hamas and their supporters are attacking Jewish people in the streets of America. It's never been more important than now to stand up against forced vaccinations.
Yes, exactly what she's talking about. She is like,
It started off bonkers, and then
she took a strong right turn into crazy town there.
Yes, because like she's been calling out for like the second tweet that I put in the live chat. Vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. Vaccine passports and mask mandates create discrimination against unvaxxed people who trust their immune system to a virus that is 99% survivable.
Their attempts to shame, ostracize, and brand Americans who choose not to get vaccinated or wear a mask are reminiscent of the great tyrants of history who did the same to those who would not comply. And everyone feeding into it is allowing them to hide the truth, which is the disgusting anti-Semitism within the Democrat Party. How do you make it?
Yep, the Auschwitz.
I see a lot of proof there, a lot of evidence for the anti-Semitism.
Mr. Newberger's
Democrats are the
response?
party of division, hate, critical race theory, pure racism, discrimination, totalitarianism, socialism, globalism, gender destruction, BDS, defunding our police, and Antifa/BS.
Is this? I mean, did what's his name? Oh fuck.
Who?
I'm speaking in tongues. Gay frog guy.
Oh, Alex Jones.
Yeah. Did he die and reincarnate?
No,
Because this is like, or probably.
I mean, they're both deeply. They're both really weird conspiracy theory word.
By the way, I love that gay frog guy. The only thing I figured that would be like the trigger word for. Yeah, I couldn't for the life of me. And now I remember his name again, so I have to go to therapy. But okay.
Yeah, you're gonna like I tried to forget that. So yeah, so so
I wanted to just read a couple of go through a couple of the responses. The first response there is from Mr. Newberger. You're right. It's just some enormous plot by Democrats, the media, and others to make you look stupid. And it happens every time you open up your mouth and say something stupid. Only if there was only a way to prevent it. And then Amanda Ginsburg. Okay. You are the deranged, shrieking, morally bankrupt apotheosis of a party and its last pathetic grasp. Jesus Christ. On behalf of my Jewish ancestors and my father who fought fascists with his actual body as a Marine in World War II, shame on you forever. There we go. So we got two wonderful responses to that jackass.
Yeah, the Auschwitz memorial I just put in the chat did a quote tweet about like Marjo's statement. The instrumentalizations of the tragedy of Jews who suffered and were humiliated, marked with a yellow star, insults in ghettos, murders during the Holocaust, and a debate on different systems that aim at protecting health is a sad symptom of moral and intellectual decline.
Okay, well, that gets a like from me.
It's so, yeah, just like, wow. People have
that is a wonderful name, Mithril. Migraine Trailer Queen.
There we go. It's even better than Menominee Theater Guild.
I think MTG. I think Imagine the Gathering. So it's just like, yeah. So yeah,
and we also have a new segment, something I've been thinking about for a while. Better Know or Bigot. There's so many different bigots and bigoted organizations out there. Figured it'd be nice to give people just a little bit of info so they can recognize some names, tactics, things like that. Because some of them are very straightforward and obvious in their villainy. They wear their names on their sleeves, like the Daily Stormer, or the alt-right. or white pride worldwide, things like that. They make it very obvious. Others are a little bit more subtle about it. Like today's Better Know a Bigot is the Pioneer Fund. That doesn't have anything too obvious in the name. If everyone who talked about pioneers of the Founding Fathers was an open white supremacist, then America would just be a white supremacist organization, full stop.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Anyway, the Pioneer
I saw
Fund.
Your eyes, John. I saw your eyes.
For the podcast audience, yes, John Brockman was.
Well, we stopped recording. We're running low on time for this month.
Okay.
So, anyway, the Pioneer Fund. What is it? It is an organization that was founded in 1937 and that still operates today. Why is it? Eugenics. They are a eugenicist organization. For decades, their organizational documents said that their purpose was to provide funding for research into the problem of heredity in eugenics and the problems of race betterment. They always said that it's not a racism, it's about the human race. So they finally ended up changing that in 1985, nearly 5 decades after their founding, to say the human race betterment. Much better. So, for those who don't necessarily know, eugenics literally means good genes. Eugenicists want to forcibly sterilize people to keep them from polluting the gene pool. So who do they want to sterilize? Just disabled people, poor people, queer people, anyone who's ever been convicted of a crime, and above all, brown people. And probably also Jews. Because Jews are... Some Jews are brown, therefore all Jews are brown, I guess. That would be their... And they don't like Jews.
Well, there is a question about that, as I understand.
So what does the Pioneer Fund do? Mostly they fund racist pseudoscience. Nowadays, anyway. But the founders got some laws passed, eugenics laws and racial purity laws, miscegenation laws here in the U.S. And that's what got them invited to Nazi Germany to help them pass laws modeled explicitly on those laws passed here in the U.S. Eugenics laws and racial purity laws, excluding Jew laws. And they haven't really improved in the decades since. They've gotten a little bit more subtle. Instead of trying to pass openly racist laws, they just fund research. They like to focus on intelligence above all, because intelligence is difficult to understand and poorly
No, it's very easy. It goes with your skull.
It goes in a bell curve. There's this bell curve.
Yes, and
I
that
was
is
going
the
to
next
say also
thing.
that going back to what we talked about earlier, eugenics got its name. Not a lot of people know this, but there's a place in Oregon called Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon.
That's where the name comes from. That's why it's called eugenics.
No, it's not.
I think you might be
Google
putting
it.
the cart
It's
before the horse.
true.
No, it's not.
I think
but just
Eugene
wait
is
a-
probably
wait a
named
couple
after
of-
eugenics, not the other way around.
No,
Or it might be
Eugenics
named after a
is-
guy named Eugene.
Eugenics is just good genes.
Yep.
It's the
It's Eugene. It's the precursor of YouTube.
Oh, God.
well, that I believe.
That would explain why the algorithm does what it does.
Yeah,
Speaking of
algorithms.
no, speaking of bodily functions, I'm gonna go do one and be right back.
All right.
I thought
But
you-
yes,
I thought
Tom
you should
actually
know.
hinted at the
I
very
thought
next
you
point I
should
was going
know.
to make. When he brought up the bell curve, because, part of their research into intelligence, one of the most infamous things they funded recently was the bell curve. A racist eugenics propaganda horseshit book by bigoted cockwaffles Charles Murray, former Klansman, and Richard Herrnstein. Sounds like a Nazi, but he's dead, so I couldn't be arsed to look him up.
Murray is also known as the bell end, which is a UK expression, but you probably know what it
It
means.
means the tip of the penis.
Well, sometimes.
In addition to funding, paying for the book, the Pioneer Fund also paid for all of the pseudoscientific research behind the book. Sean of Sean and Jen over on YouTube has a 2-hour, 40-minute video debunking everything in the book.
He's insane, Sean. Its videos are absolutely. I mean, it's the best thing ever. But 2.5. I mean,
It is kind of extreme. Um, I mean, like people like to say that the racists like to say that you just dismiss it thinking it's racist. You don't actually look at the research. People have looked at the research, and the research is crap. And Sean, 2.5 hours plus goes through and points out how and why. Even the little bit of good research that they look at, they misquote, misuse, and abortify. So basically, everything in the bell curve is awful. It's just saying brown people are stupid and we should punish them with poverty. Yeah. So people like to say that time has put distance between the Pioneer Fund of today and the eugenicist founders, notwithstanding funding racist research and shit like the bell curve. But the fact is, the modern day heads of the fund speak at events hosted by like American Renaissance, which, to quote anti-racist magazine Searchlight, is a veritable who's who of white supremacy. American Renaissance is another thing I could talk about. Run by Jared Taylor, open white supremacist.
Mhm.
So to sum up, you can't call the Pioneer Fund a neo-Nazi organization only because they were founded in order to work with the Nazis. They're too old to be a neo-Nazi organization. They're just a Nazi organization.
Paleo Nazis.
Yep. So we're assholes like the Anglins and the Daily Stormers are, boots on the ground, poor white trash Nazis. The Pioneer Fund are three-piece suit and fob watch, highfalutin money Nazis. The Pioneer Fund are probably glad to have the Stormer types for their votes and for their violence, but they'd never invite them to their garden parties. So that is this week's Better Know a Bigot, the Pioneer Fund. If you see anything involved with them, if they've given money to someone, they're doing bad things.
the pioneering something.
Yeah, they're going out west to kill brown people. That's what pioneers do.
Yeah, I was gonna. I mean, my country has the sort of dubious honor of being the first country in the world that actually founded a state eugenics organization.
Really?
It's Racial Biology Institute, founded in the 1920s. And it was headed by a guy who did his PhD by studying genetic diseases in the part of the country where I live. And probably some of my ancestors were part of his scientific, in quotes, research, because what he was big on the incest thing in rural areas, making it. I mean, there's some biology to it, but it's then he put a lot of pseudoscience on top of it and started talking about racial types, and this is within the country of Sweden.
Well, you have your native indigenous Swedes,
yeah.
and
Of
then
course,
you have
they were
the people up north who fuck reindeers, right?
But the eugenics, the whole point of it is breeding the master race, basically, because you want to get rid of anything that's not pure and from this kind of the Aryan, whatever you want to call it, point of view of the purebred, whatever you have. And this is what the racism of Europe in the 1800s and the 1900s, really, it wasn't so much about people of color or people of other. It's just within Europe you identify different kinds of races.
Yeah.
So this is why the idea of white people is such a stupid thing to think about.
It's a very new kind of stupid thing.
Yeah, it's very.
Yes.
And it's something that hasn't been. It hasn't been a thing in Europe before. Well, the early 1900s or so, but because they talked about the German race and the the Polish race and whatever.
And they went even
It's
further
very
than that. I mean, the English were even
it's
further
very
than that. I mean, the English were, measuring the skull so that they could talk about the difference between the Angles, the Saxons, the Irish, the Scots, the Cornish, the Welsh. I mean, they subdivided the fuck out of everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
so and this
We Scots
kind of
were
thinking
so-
had well into the 1940s and even beyond. It had serious scientific support in certain circles. It was always a political issue because I mean most people didn't believe in it. But it took a few powerful people with the right connections to set up this and then spread it through schools. And what do you have? You have people actually believing in these fairy tales that they make up. He's got blue eyes and blonde hair. He's obviously a master race, rather than that's just a sort of, okay, in this generation, the genes happen to throw up this combination of physical traits. I mean, the next generation, it might be something completely different. It doesn't have anything to do with any kind of race or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, Sweden has a very, I would say complex history, but it's not very complex. It's very simple.
no wonder Donald Trump thinks you guys are like the best place, the opposite of a shithole country.
Did he?
Mhm.
I thought we were the socialist hellholes of
Well, no,
Scandinavia. Well, that was Denmark,
he wanted
maybe.
immigrants from your country because you're white.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Norway, wasn't it more Norway than?
Well,
Sweden?
Norway, Sweden, same thing.
Well,
he wanted,
not if you ask them.
and he wanted to buy Greenland because
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
In fact-
the same reason.
In fact, about well, not really, because the native people that lived on Greenland, except for the a few Vikings for a while there, were darker people.
Yeah.
But no, the offer to buy Greenland, I think, was just rescinded in the last couple of weeks. It took no, I'm not kidding. I saw it in the news that within the last couple of weeks that it was rescinded. Now I don't know when it was rescinded, but if it was news, that suggests it was kind of recent. That's kind of weird. And
Probably couldn't agree on the price.
yeah. Mithril's had some calipers, and that I would wince too, because instead of my calipers, I would. Well, they're plastic. I'd break them, and I get shards of plastic in my
But
ass.
you're not supposed to sit on them. That's a different set of calipers. That's the nut calipers that you use.
Well, you don't know my caliper. You go ahead. Just speak amongst yourselves. Oh fuck! Now I'm getting old because this is. I talk myself into corners, and but I'm so old that it doesn't matter unless you have something that is desperately necessary for me to be here for.
Well, I was
mean,
just about
well,
to
if
start
you-
talking about the proper way to serve bratwurst, but
Then no, you got Joe for that. That's actually bratwurst is much more of an eastern Wisconsin thing than a western Wisconsin thing. It's a Wisconsin thing, yeah, but it's a eastern and southern Wisconsin thing more than anything. And I think Joe would be your guy.
I thought it was a German thing.
Nah.
it's something that they share with Minnesota.
But that's not bratwurst, it's bratwurst.
Wurst.
Yeah. Mithril wonders why they offered to buy Greenland and sell Puerto Rico. Why that? I think it probably has to do. It probably has to do with that. No, that can't be it because Trump likes to build golf courses in warm places. Fuck, I don't know.
Oh,
He wants to build
bratwurst is
golf
German
courses
for
in-
fried sausage.
I know the word comes from there, but the idea that comes from there. But
The most popular Wurst in Germany now, I think, is Currywurst, which is curry sausage.
Ooh,
Or one of the most. I don't know. You should ask a German.
That would be.
Oh, my
They have fallen so far from their Aryan purity. They're eating
do
brown
know.
people food.
We had German friends on our show before, episode 75, Condoleezza Swan stuff, Friends of Little Arno, and we had them on. She invited them on to like talk about the history of November 11th and the 3 different histories of November 11th.
Did you actually just pull that number of the episode off the top of your head, or did you spend like 5 minutes looking it up?
No, I think it's 75, but I'm not sure. It's something like that. I'm guessing
Jesus.
right now. I could be off, but it's just like it was like over a year and a half ago. So because it was like November 11th is the word.
All right. Well, all right. This is okay.
Well, let's kick the German off.
No, we're talking memory, and we're talking shows that I remember, but I don't. And my mind is going a little bizarre, and I just took a whiz, so I'm dehydrated now, and I have to go make some bratwurst, and I'll just watch on the chat to see when Joe gives the definitive what Eastern Wisconsin bratwurst recipe, which will include beer, but I don't know which beer yet. So.
Episode 72.
Episode
God.
72. Okay.
So
You are
he's
the
wrong.
worst. I can't believe you were off.
I
by
know.
The
Yeah,
worst.
yeah.
Worse.
This is getting old. I have to leave, and I have to tell everyone that I love you desperately,
Mm-hmm.
and you should fuck yourself.
Mhm.
Every single one of you.
Fair enough.
Fuck you. Fuck the chat. Fuck.
Take
everyone.
care, Tom.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
Tom.
See you
It's
around.
always
Bye,
great
Tom.
to see you in the chat with you. Polish sausages. That's oh my god, it has been a long time since I had Polish sausages.
I mean, Europe, the continental Europe as a whole, at least from the east of the Rhine onwards, they have amazing sausages and of different kinds. I don't know what the American versions of them taste like, because you tend to add Americanism to them.
Yes, we do.
You know, this food is good, but it needs sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and salt, maybe
Tobacco.
some fat. Trans fat. We need some of that trans fat. Maybe put some Crisco in there.
Some plastics as well, just to make them go down easier.
What else there is to like chat about and talk about? What else has happened this week?
Maybe there's a news that happened.
There's always news that happening, but I'm about a week behind on my podcast of news related stuff, because like I've been I sometimes occasionally also listen to audiobooks. I actually found some audiobooks of like Michel Foucault available from like a Theory audiobook.
No, I believe you'll find that according to French expert Sargon of Akkad, it's Foucault.
Sure, it's not fuck you. I'm pretty sure someone has mispronounced it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I saw this on the Book of Face.
Okay.
A lengthy Twitter thread from American Ethical that they turned into a list of bullet points. I owe my Trump-supporting friends an apology. I've been critical of the Trump presidency these last 4 years, and I'm still exhausted from the experience. But to be fair, President Trump wasn't that bad, other than... And then page after page after page of all the individual things Trump did. I mean, it's just so much stuff. It's kind of, you put it into context, and yeah, Trump was the worst.
But he did disappear like no one's business. I haven't even...
Because they kicked him off Twitter.
Yeah, that's probably it, actually, because I haven't seen a news article about Trump specifically. I mean, there have been the odd video and so forth of him holding court in Mar-a-Lago and so forth, but nothing political at all.
He got kicked off Twitter, but he made his own website.
That's a recipe for success. It's worked so many times before.
He's not on Gab. He's not on Parler or Frank.
I
But
think
basically,
Parler's
he made his
down,
own.
isn't it?
What's that?
Isn't Parler down? Like
Probably.
Marty was.
Yeah, I think they got. I can't remember, but I think they lost their server support from Google or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
basically, Donald Trump had somebody make him a website that he could tweet to. And because nobody else can tweet there, nobody can respond or like his tweets or anything like that. It's just Donald Trump throwing individual tweets up onto a web page. And it is scary. It's like when you take one person away from Twitter, it looks really fucking weird and scary. I mean, Trump is already unhinged, racist, and stupid, but you take him out of the context of Twitter, and it's even more obvious.
Oh, Miller Lite's the most popular beer for like brats, but most of the award-winning recipes use stouts. Ooh, I gotta do that next time. I make a beer batter brats. Use a stout. Good stout would do that too. Yeah, molasses, sugary. Yes, exactly. And Mithril, the Republicans want to ban trans fats, of course, or examine them.
Only if you put it on your genitals.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, and so I was like, I think like Republicans are doing their thing. They like, oh yeah, there's been abortions bills that have been like passed or in like states and stuff like that, and they've been challenged and going to go up to the Supreme Court eventually soon, or they have already. I don't know. Or
yeah, abortion's about to be fully banned in the U.S.
A lot of like anti-trans bills. I think it's already been like mentioned before, but yep, it's like, oh yeah, we mentioned that last week too. So it's like a lot of terrible stuff. Oh yeah, the Trump is yelling in the internet void. Yes, exactly. That's what it is.
Hey,
He yells at clouds.
Void.
Even
Void. Listen to me, Void. Hey, Void. Why is she talking to me, Void? Here's an interesting question that was posted to Anarchy 101. Okay. Would anarchy be able to stop child abuse? It kind of seems like a gotcha sort of question.
It's not. I mean, it's not a political question. It's a moral question.
Well, it's basically how can you stop bad things without cops? I think is probably where they're going.
You have to decide. You have to decide first what is a bad thing, because child molestation.
Well, it's only bad if it's not done by a priest.
Well, okay, then anarchy will probably solve it because we didn't have any priests. So yeah, in a way, but I mean, that's a moral question, and morality is not something that if you bring morality into politics too much, it tends to get very hard to navigate. Which is sort of going back to the Vosh thing, because that was all about morality, a certain kind of morality, and a kind of morality that's sort of very disingenuous, and I mean, it's basically politicized morality. But I wouldn't want that, but that's me, because morality never. I mean, morals is, in some ways, a subjective thing. It's
subjective, largely incoherent, situational, and varies from person to person, because it's not an actual set of codes. It's a complex and contradictory set of emotions, is what morals is.
Cognitive dissonance is, is the thing about that.
Joe makes a good point. It's like, and which is like, if when everyone asks, like, how does anarchists or this happens in anarchist societies, how would they stop this thing? And one thing they fire back is like, okay,
we haven't stopped it here. Let's give it a shot.
Yes, exactly. Which goes into that whole thing. They think it's a gotcha because we didn't think of like every single thing perfectly as were. When Steve Jobs had like a seriously minded on his like conversation streams. Which the reason why Chief has like stopped that for a while is because he got burned out on it. He had to like wrangle, do the hoarding of like kittens as it were, trying to like chase people in the DMs to set up a whole thing. So he's stopping for now, but he's probably gonna bring it back. But like anyway, back on that hangout. Seriously, somebody would say, "Oh, if an anarchist syndicalist society like in China, someone that has all the resources of the this sort of thing, cocaine or something like that, and won't share with like anyone else in the rest of the anarchist world and something like that, what do anarchists going to do then?" And it's just like, okay, what? How's that resolved now? Basically, the bigger nation will coup the other nation if it's small enough, as it were. So,
or just invade.
Yes, exactly. Or if it's like actual like China, who's also equally big as like the US. Okay, yeah, that's a problem with the US, and it had to result in trade, as it were. Again, that's not a gotcha against anarchism, because anarchism is a work in progress.
And any political ideology who prescribes some kind of ready-made plan for everything, you should steer clear of that, because that's never worked ever. Anywhere really. There's a reason why Thomas More called his I don't know if you could, I would say it might be a satire, his utopia, because utopia means no place. And if you're trying to build a utopia, you're most likely going to fail miserably and make a lot of people miserable along the way as well, because you can't think of everything, every situation, and you can't prescribe a plan for everything. If you try to do that, you're most likely going to end up with something like Soviet Russia or whatever I mean, or even, I don't think, North Korea is not a good example, because they haven't thought of anything really. They're just trying to suppress people. But the kind of utopian thinking, it's a thought experiment, and if you try to make it real, it most of the time it will fail miserably, and it will make a lot of people miserable, I think.
That's an excellent point, John P.
But do they have to be happy, or do they just have to be obedient?
Depends on what kind of measurement you use. If you use like some kind of utilitarian model, you could probably argue for that these miserable people, they're better off than they would be under any other system. So the fact that they're miserable is not a problem, because they're not as miserable as they would be if they lived under another kind
Their
of
uniform level of misery is better
the unit
than the uneven.
The unit of misery is either higher or lower depending on how you measure it now than it was before, so that's okay. We've made a great success of this particular experiment of ours.
Yeah, the indigenous heretic, you're right. Pretty sure that there are like extensive writings on different ideas of community policing, and people are asking gotcha questions, can go gadget and Google them and lol.
Basically, anybody who's curious as to how we would handle policing in anarchism, Black Panthers. Because the black communities couldn't trust real police, so they had their own neighborhood organizations. They had to police themselves.
The thing is that the police idea is quite new. It hasn't been around for more than about 100 years. Like that the police would be a part of the state, as it were. It's existed for a long time, but it hasn't been a part of the state for that long.
Yep.
It's been much more localized and in certain cases even not sanctioned from above, but growing from below.
And in the U.S., a lot of them, the policing as a whole in the U.S. was built out of catching runaway slaves, and a lot of currently existing police organizations trace back their history. You find that that's exactly what they were, that they were just slave catchers.
Yeah, the ones in the south for sure. The ones in the north were kind of like union busters, modeled off of the UK police that they were signing up, who were part of the UK police. The origins of.
Pinkertons.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Pinkertons.
Now, the Pinkertons were a
Oh.
private organization, not even the
Yeah, but
actual
that's
police.
also something that you still have in the US. You have
Mhm.
basically private police forces, but they are not called police forces.
They're called
It-
security.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But the origins of the UK police was used to put down the Irish from keeping the rabble under wraps, as well. And George Trumpete said in the chat and melody of the war song, "Cops, huh, good God, what are they good for? Absolutely nothing." And now, Metro, worst headline in the UK this week: 1.6% of rape accusations end up in court. And people think that's like, no, patriarchy, there's no patriarchy here, is not a thing. Okay, there's that. And also, so people say, no, you need the cops around. Oh, you need the cops around so they won't prosecute rape accusations to follow up on those things? Yeah, who's going
Or
if the
to
cops,
commit the rapes?
or to commit the rapes? Exactly, yeah. Who's going to if the cops are not around, who's going to ignore all the rape kits that have not been processed and all?
Without the cops, who would belittle and antagonize the victims and get them to withdraw their accusation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes you think. No, but the cup thing is the thing about having a force of policemen, because if you look back in history, it's usually one guy who when he most of the time needs it, brings up a posse to find someone who's broken the law or broken the local whatever it is, and that's it. And I'm not saying that's perfect, but it's a whole lot better than having a police force that's trying to make its own existence relevant and so stirring up trouble, because that's a lot of police forces around the world. They're trying to make their own existence valid by starting trouble, basically.
And basically, they just exist to preserve the status quo and help the rich.
Yep.
Yeah, well, but think about it. What would happen if, for some reason, every crime, every criminal activity just stopped all of a sudden? What would happen to police forces? What would they do? Well, they'd had to try to find trouble, which is basically what a lot of them do now. Because in most parts of the Western world, at least, the crime is on the decline and has been for, decades. But you wouldn't think it was like that if you just looked at the statistics of cop-related violence.
But arrests are up.
Yeah. So what's happening is, it's basically the market forces, and the market for police is declining. They're trying to stake out their claim. They're trying to find a niche in the market for themselves.
Yep. And I just did a little Googling. The Pinkerton Detective Agency still exists.
Yeah, of course it does.
And they are a subdivision of the Swedish security company Securitas.
Yes, I know. It's fucking hilarious. The Swedish connection is everywhere. The Securitas is I think it used to be, at least, the biggest security company in the world. I think it still is. It has about 20% of the world market or something. It had at least before, which is, it's hilarious. It's like everyone's going around being afraid of everyone else, and
everywhere you
why?
look, there's a Swede hiding somewhere.
Yep. Bloody every. It's not a Jewish question; it's the Swedish question.
It's the Swedish connection.
Talking about Sweden. I when you talked about news, and we talked a bit about Greenland, which is famously a Danish possession still. Danish colony, basically. It used to be a Norwegian colony, but then Denmark took over from Norway. And the interesting, Well, I mean, Denmark and Norway used to be in a personal union. They had the same monarch, and then they lost because they were on the side of Napoleon, and Sweden took over, and we had a union with Norway for a while. But before that, the Greenland colony, which was a Norwegian colony, was handed over to Denmark. So Denmark has had it for the last 200 years or so. And then during World War II, you guys came in and put a lot of stuff on Greenland.
You're welcome.
So, yeah. I mean, we were neutral.
We got to free the shit out of you.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say is that something that broke just this evening is that the US has used Denmark to spy on Swedish politicians, which is like, so the US
How
has
and
used
why?
Denmark because Denmark's in NATO and Sweden isn't.
They don't trust you. I say, yeah.
And so we've been
was
thinking
Sweden
about
on the Russian side of the nasty little deal that Churchill
I
made
would
with Stalin?
suspect that the US probably spies on every nation on the globe, with possibly some exception. I mean, I don't know. But the fact that Denmark has assisted the US in spying on Swedish politicians is it's not on Sweden, it's on Swedish politicians, individual politicians, which is like, I don't know what you call that, but I think if you go back in diplomatic history, I think this is possibly what they call the casus belli. It's a reason for war. Spying on other countries' internal politics for whatever reason. It's certainly
if that were casus belli, then I believe that every country would be allowed to go to war with every other country.
Yeah. Which is why they call the international scene really an anarchic, not an anarchist, but an anarchic system, because there are really no rules. There are a lot of.
In which case, it's not anarchy; it's just chaos.
No, it's anarchic. There is no ruler, really. Basically, that's what it's all about. But anyway, so if there's a war between Denmark and Sweden in the next few days, then you know why.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably not going to happen, but you never know.
Well, we're so close to war with last president.
It's the NSA, by the way. It's who's done this. So yeah.
Okay.
And I looked it up. Churchill's percentages agreement with Stalin was about the Mediterranean, Yugoslavia, Belgium, Greece, not Belgium, but that area around there, Eastern Europe, the Mediterranean. Had nothing to do with Sweden.
So anyway, we're getting up to close to the next hour, and
yes, we're only a few minutes away from Marty's thing, right?
No, Garrett's thing.
Garrett's thing.
Yeah, so Garrett is having a discussion of the history of the YouTube feminist and social justice community with two awesome people that we had on our show of Captain Andy and Christiosity. So that's going to be a very interesting discussion. There's the link to that. It's going to happen start in about 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to mod for Garrett. So I think it's a good time.
This is a good place to stop, I think, so that you can have a break, go take a piss, whatever you need to do before you start to mod for Garrett.
Yep. So quick pitches, charity links. Don't forget about charitylinks.page. Phoenix and Joanna kind of could use some help as well, and their links are in that as well. Summer and Geek on Twitter with 3's instead of E's and Geek, and Summer and Geek on YouTube. I'm gonna post up more videos so eventually want to get around to it. Eventually, it's just tedious things I hate.
What is your handle on Twitch?
It is Summer and a Geek with 3s instead of E's and as well, and that's where I do most of my things. As this month of May, is my Twitch anniversary because my very first ever Twitch stream was on May 13th of 2020, and I have like passed over 200 followers on Twitch. And
Nice.
just going, not going to do a celebration thing whatsoever because like some streamers do that. I'm just going to continue streaming as I do, and that's
You're not allowed to celebrate until you get 42069.
Oh yes, exactly. I already passed 69, so.
Fucking Kabbalists.
I do it to raise awareness of my friends to GoFundMe's and PayPal. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. And I do my D&D thing, Dungeons and Debacles. We're having a lot of fun over there.
Is there any end in sight for that?
Not
You're doing it in
not at the
real
moment. we're only level 11. We'll probably stop when we get near level 20 is my guess.
Mm.
When we'll invade the abyss and kill a dark god or something,
Mm-hmm. Anyway, goodbye, everyone.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget to take your meds, stay hydrated, masturbate, do all the good things.
Mm-hmm.
Tie your genitals in a ribbon.
And rub yourself with trans fats.
Yep.
And let us not
all of
inherently
those things.
sexual.
Whatever you want. Just don't do it when Voice is watching.
Do the kink. Tell Vosh to go fuck himself.